It's 9:47 on a Tuesday night. Dave's just got the kids down, house is quiet. He's sitting at the kitchen table with his phone, typing his MyGov login into the super app because his mate mentioned something about the number at a Barbie last weekend. And it's been nagging at him ever since. He's 41, 2 kids, a mortgage with 22 years still left on it. He's been working full-time since he was 22. The number loads, and it's lower than he expected, way lower. Dave does what most of us do in that moment. He tells himself, nah, it's fine, compound interest will sort it out. That's the whole point of super, right? Just leave it alone and it grows. That one sentence is probably costing Dave, and maybe you, more than 100 grand by retirement. Compound interest doesn't fix a bad strategy, it just multiplies it whichever direction it's already heading in. If you're in your late 30s or 40s and you've never actually looked under the hood of your super, this next few minutes is gonna sting a little. But stick with me, because by the end you'll know exactly which 3 things are quietly draining your balance right now without you lifting a finger, and what to actually do about it while you still got 20 plus years for the fix to work. Because at 40, you're not out of time, you're just almost out of the easy kind of time. Let's go back to Dave for a second, because his story is basically every Australian story. He got his first job at Woolies at 17. Super started landing in some default fund he never chose and never questioned. Fast forward through a few job changes, a wedding, 2 kids, a mortgage, and the daily grind of just living, and Dave has never once logged in to actually check what's happening in there. And honestly, fair enough. Nobody's cracking open a spreadsheet on a Sunday arvo after a 50-hour work week to audit their retirement fund. You're thinking about petrol prices, the grocery bill, whether the kids need new shoes again. But here's the bit that stings. The median Aussie in their early 40s has a bit over 100 grand sitting in super. If you're properly on track for a comfortable retirement, you're supposed to be closer to 170, 180 by that age. That's a gap of 70, 80 grand for someone doing everything right. And it's not because people are careless, it's because super's default settings were never really built around your best interests as the main priority. They were built to be easy. Easy and good aren't always the same thing. Quick heads up before we go further. I'm not your financial advisor, and this isn't personal advice. Everyone's situation is different. But here's what the numbers show for the average person in Dave's position, and it might be closer to your position than you think. So let's break down the 3 things actually causing that gap. Number 1, zombie accounts. Every time you start a new job and don't fill in the form telling them where your existing super already is, a brand new account gets opened for you. Dave's had 4 jobs since he was 20. He's got 3 super accounts, 2 of them he'd genuinely forgotten existed. Here's why that's brutal. Each account charges its own set of fees. Each one, in a lot of cases, comes with its own default insurance policy bolted on, quietly taking a bite out of the balance every single month, sometimes for cover Dave doesn't even need anymore. Multiply that across a decade and he's paid for the same insurance 3 times over while getting the benefit of it once. The fix sounds boring, but it's a genuinely free win. You can check for lost or forgotten super and roll everything into one account through MyGov in about 10 minutes. One account means 1 set of fees instead of 3. But consolidating your accounts won't save you if the account you land on is set up wrong. Which brings us to the bigger problem. Number 2, the default option that's quietly too safe for you. When your super account was first opened, unless you actively chose otherwise, you got dumped into what's called the fund's default option. For most funds, that's a balanced mix. Roughly half growth assets like shares, half more conservative stuff like bonds and cash. Here's the thing nobody tells you. That setting makes sense for someone 5 years out from retirement who can't afford a rough year in the share market. It makes a lot less sense for someone in their early 40s with 25 years left before they touch a cent of it. Over that kind of time horizon, growth-heavy options, the ones with 80 or 90% in shares and property, have historically outperformed a balanced option by a wide margin, because you've got the time to ride out the dips along the way. Being safe for 25 years straight isn't actually safe, it's just slow. Dave never chose his investment option. It was chosen for him by default, on day one of a job he doesn't even work at anymore. That single unmade decision could be worth tens of thousands of dollars by the time he retires. Now, fixing the first two problems gets Dave's existing balance working harder. But if he actually wants to close that 70 or 80 grand gap, he needs one more piece. And this is the one almost nobody in their 40s uses properly. Number 3. Leaving free money and tax breaks sitting on the table. Your employer's currently required to pay 12% of your wage into super. Most people assume that's the whole story. It's not even half of it. You're allowed to add more of your own money before tax through something called salary sacrifice, up to a combined cap with your employer's contributions of $32,500 a year right now. Every dollar you sacrifice in gets taxed at just 15% going into super, instead of your normal marginal tax rate, which for a lot of people in their prime earning years sits well over 30%. That's not a small difference. It's close to half the tax gone, just by redirecting money you were going to pay tax on anyway. And here's the part that matters most if you're 40 and feeling behind. If your total super balance is under $500,000, you can carry forward any unused concessional cap space from the past 5 years. So if you barely contributed extra in the years when money was tight, that unused space hasn't disappeared. It's been stacking up, and you can use it now, all at once, right when your income and your ability to catch up are both higher than they were in your 20s. Now picture Dave actually doing all three of these things. He consolidates down to one account this weekend. He switches his investment option to something that actually matches how long his money's got to grow. And he starts salary sacrificing an extra few $100s a month, drawing on some of that carried forward cap to catch up properly. None of that requires him to earn more money. It doesn't require him to give up his lifestyle or skip the kids' footy registration. It's not a hustle. It's just Dave's existing money, finally pointed in the right direction, with 25 years left for compound interest to actually do what everyone always promised it would. That's the real difference between retiring onto the age pension and hoping for the best, and retiring with an actual choice about how you spend your 60s. Same Dave, same income, completely different outcome, just because 3 quiet leaks got fixed at 41 instead of 61. And look, fixing your super is step 1, but super's only half the equation, because the tax system is working on your take-home pay from that exact same paycheck in ways most Australians never see broken down. If you want to know where that money's actually disappearing to before it even hits your bank account, that video's on your screen right now.